Hello, man cavers. Welcome back. So good to see you again. I have another video here of a eyewitness account from Fyffe, Alabama. It was in 1989. And it's courtesy of Eyes on Cinema. Definitely head over there and check out that channel. It's got some great videos. And without further ado, let's get started.
This is Fyffe, Alabama, a small farming community set in the heart of the South, where in the past year and a half, some very strange things have been happening to some very normal people.
Chief, this crowd really looks pretty quiet. Just another bunch of UFO hunters. You want to check it out for yourself?
This film focused on the strange occurrences in Fyffe as a way of drawing attention to teen drinking and driving. It's been very effective, but for those who've never heard of the tiny southern town, it can be somewhat baffling. Prepare yourself for the truth. It is truly stranger than fiction. Susan Stockman is a reporter for a local newspaper and has been covering the story for nearly a year and a half.
It began February the 10th, 1989. I was on a Friday night. Donna Saylor made the initial report. She was the first one to call the police in Fyffe and say that she saw something in the sky that she could not identify.
We saw this bright light, and you know how you just say, well, what's that over in the sky? And she said, well, it must be a street light on the mountain somewhere. I said, you're on the mountain. There's nothing else any higher than us. Well, the further we got closer to it, we just kept watching it. Realized it wasn't moving, and I said, now when we get at a good clear spot, we'll stop the car, because sometimes things look like they're not moving when you're moving. And as we got closer, I said, Kathy, that's right over the tree line, right over the house. So when we got right here, I said, right there it is. I said, we'll see if this thing's moving. We stopped the car, had the windows rolled down, and was looking straight at it, and then we only got to watch it about 10 more seconds, and it just went out.
Donna and her family then used binoculars to watch an object floating in the sky just over the horizon.
We all stood out here and watched it probably an hour, and it moved very slowly in that hour. It probably didn't move 4 inches across the sky in that hour. So that's when I went in and called the police department.
Yes, ma'am. I'll send an officer as soon as I can. Fred West had a call from a lady around Kelly's Chapel, said she saw an object with some lights on it in the sky. She thinks it's a UFO and she needs an officer to come check it out.
You got to be kidding.
Fyffe's assistant police chief on duty when Donna Saylor's call came in was understandably skeptical.
So the chief walked into the station about that time. I was about to walk out, and I asked him if he wanted to go check out a UFO sighting. Kind of kidding. And he said, sure. I told him, I said, I'm serious, we got a call. So we drove down County Road 76 toward Miss Saylor's house, and we saw an object to the south of us. We just stopped on the road. We were still several miles from Donna Saylor's.
The light glowed brightly and dimmed, and eventually moved off to the southeast. Again, the officers pursued.
Fred, what do you think it is, or was, or whatever?
After radioing police departments in adjoining communities who confirmed the strange object, the officers turned back toward Fyffe. They stopped when a nearby police chief called to say that an immense craft was headed their way.
We stopped in a driveway and got out and saw an object coming toward us. It appeared to be an airplane at first.
Cut the engine, Junior.
The men described the craft as a triangular shape, metallic in color, with 3 huge lights illuminating the underside. And though it was only 2,000 feet off the ground, it made no noise. Their experience was only the beginning.
We've seen a variety of shapes. Some of my neighbors have seen them. I have seen them, my husband, my daughter. Sometimes the objects are just like a round ball. We've seen triangular-shaped objects, and we've seen elongated objects.
Susan and a Weekly Post photographer, Terry Baker, captured the strange lights on film one evening.
We're at the police station at Fyffe when someone called in that they had sighted the UFO, so we went to the area where the people had seen the UFO, and we parked the car, and soon after we got the car parked, we saw it. And I got my camera out and set it up on a tripod. We saw an object that had had a red light on each end of it and had a row of blue lights across the middle of it.
Terry made a series of pictures, and while some would say they are inconclusive, most would agree the object does not resemble the pattern an airplane would create. Have the mysterious Fyffe lights affected the small community? Yes, but in a strange, ironic way.
It's not a reaction to the objects. It's not a reaction to the possibility of alien life. It's a reaction to human beings coming in and making fun.
Yes, ma'am. Flying saucers. Uh-huh. Well, thanks for calling, ma'am. We'll check on it for you. Goodbye. This may be Fyffe, but my name sure ain't
We
Barney.
went to Fyffe, Alabama. Population 1,200. Since February 10th, many of the locals believe UFOs have come here to watch us.
As soon as we parked our car, the object would move slowly toward the left, from the left toward the right on the horizon. We never took our eyes off of the object. The object just disappeared.
Susan Stockman, reporter for the Rainsville Weekly Post, was in Fyffe last week with a photographer, hoping to get a picture of the UFO she and the neighbors had been seeing.
These are the photographs that Terry took Thursday night. You can see the movement of the object across on the horizon above the trees, and you can see where it went at an altitude just before it disappeared from our sight.
Stockman's positive that wasn't an airplane, but a spaceship, she can't say. Others who are sure didn't have a camera, but their descriptions are selling T-shirts and drawing crowds from several states, doubling Fyffe's population every Friday night. UFO skeptics are not impressed. They say all sightings can be explained logically.
This is the town of Fyffe in northern Alabama, the heart of what is commonly known as the Bible Belt. The people of Fyffe still live the same kind of lifestyles their ancestors lived here at the turn of the century. You could say that Fyffe, Alabama is the most normal place you've ever seen. But what happens here after the sun goes down isn't always normal. On the evening of February 10th, 1989, residents from all over the county deluged the switchboards of local law enforcement agencies. Some callers reported seeing a beautiful flying saucer rimmed by bright multicolored lights, hovering silently and flying off into the distance at a snail's pace. Others watched a large triangular object with 3 large white lights underneath. One local resident phoned the Fyffe Police Department after watching a crescent and triangular-shaped object pass over the treetops. As the woman reported the object, she asked for a patrolman to come out and look. Fyffe Police Chief Charles Jr. Garmany and Assistant Chief Fred Works half-heartedly got into their patrol car and headed out to the community of Grove Oak, west of Fyffe. Before they could reach their destination, they heard officers from neighboring police departments on their radio, all reporting strange objects in the sky, objects that made no sound, objects they couldn't begin to recognize. In less than a minute, Chief Garmany and Assistant Chief Fred Works spotted one of the objects.
A lady had called an object in the sky in.
Sounds like they had a heck of a flap there in Fyffe, Alabama. 1989 it was.
And the chief and myself went out to check it out, and we saw a bright white light in the sky before we ever got to her location. And we stopped and watched it. It was like maybe 2 fingers over the horizon, over the treetop horizon, and appeared to be moving at a very slow pace. And it would get brighter and then dimmer, almost like a light turning towards you and then away from you. So we stopped the vehicle and observed it for a few minutes, just, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes, and decided we would try to drive toward it. We radioed a town down south of us, and I believe their chief was on duty at that time, and he confirmed that he saw the object, and it appeared to have some blinking lights on it, like maybe a red and green colored lights. A police officer from Crossville radioed and said that he told us his location and said that a large object had flown over him at a fast pace, flying in a west and south direction. Well, evidently we were in the path of that object. We stopped and got out and looked back toward the east, and I saw this object coming over the treetops, and it appeared to have kind of a, I don't know, like a white lights on it. They weren't actually shining where they were real bright. You could just tell they were on it, and there was kind of a glow of the lights around it. And I told Junior, I said, there's the object he's talking about. And I said, it appears to be an airplane. And I said, well, I said, it don't look exactly like an airplane. And it kept flying toward us, and it flew right straight over our heads, and it was hard to tell what distance, you know, what height it was. Maybe, we estimated maybe 1,500 to 2,000 feet, and possibly as big as a football field. And it had three huge, like spotlights, kind of triangle shape.
It's that old football-sized UFO. Gosh, I wish I could see one sometime.
One being more toward the front. But they were not shining. They weren't shining at the ground. They were like shining back up on the craft itself. So I asked the chief. I said, "Cut the car engine off." And like I said, there was no other background noises. The car was dead. You know, we shut the engine down. It was dead. And here this big object come flying over. And I mean, if you put your hands up like this, that's about how big it looked to you. Bigger than a beach ball, you know. As big or bigger. And we watched it fly over us, and then we turned, you know, no sound whatsoever. We watched it go off south and west of us. Never a sound. If we'd have been looking down at the ground, we'd have never known it was there.
Fred and I pulled over on the side of the road on County Road 43 and stopped our patrol car, shut the engine off, and got out. And at that time, the object came directly over our patrol car, and we were looking up underneath it. And the object appeared to me that it was some 1,000, 1,500 feet higher, had three real bright lights underneath it that were shining not on the ground to illuminate the ground, but shining back up underneath the craft to illuminate the craft itself. And there was some lights around what I call the face of the craft or the crown of it, whatever you may call it, appeared looking up through the glare of those other lights. Maybe green, blue, or red, or some of them might have been white. It was a large craft, and it had no sound whatsoever. It just continued didn't descend or pick up any speed or anything, just a steady speed, just right over us, and went right on out of sight. Sometime after that now, after 89 of February the 10th, we had several calls. The night of February the 10th, we had several calls, and they've been scattered reports ever since then. I had a person come in just last night. Marty Roberts in the Grove Oak area came in, and he described this object to me and drew me a diagram of it on a paper, and it was something similar to what I had seen on February the 10th of 89. And he's seen that this past date.
A lot of the people who are telling the stories are people that I know personally and have known for a lot of years. And I don't have any reason to doubt what they say they saw. But nobody is telling me what it is. They don't know either. They just know it's something that's very unusual. You've heard the term Southern hospitality. Sand Mountain is the epitome of Southern hospitality. People up here trust each other. A lot of the things that they do are done by handshake rather than by contract. And they trusted the outsiders too, until the inside edition piece.
We sent Jeff Cole down there to see if E.T. has a Southern accent.
They came from outer space.
I still believe I saw a UFO.
Police were helpless.
There's nothing that I've ever seen before in my life.
And the town of Fyffe, Alabama, was stunned by the strange visitors.
My dog saw it, but he won't talk about it. He went and crawled on the floor, and I know that's what's happened because he talks to anybody.
I know when I just had a UFO sighting.
Fyffe Police Chief Junior Garmany and Assistant Chief Fred Works got the call and went out to investigate what they figured was some, well, monkey business. Whatever it was they saw, it will be a long time before Fyffe forgets the things from out of this world.
There's some people that's going to ridicule us for it. Some people disbelieve it. But I hope them people themselves gets to view it one of these days.
They may be coming to see you next.
I think it's quite a shame that Inside Edition chose to make a mockery of that piece when they presented it. I mean, these officers have no reason to lie.
There is a legitimate investigation going on down there, if you can believe it. The FAA and the Air Force are doing that investigation. And if any of you Martians are watching this broadcast, please drop by to see us and bring Elvis with you. Straight ahead, we'll get back to reality.
What was the reaction to the job they did?
Well, they did a job, all right. They spoofed the incident. They made it appear like a Keystone Cops kind of a program, and people up here didn't like it at all. They thought they were here in good faith, so they showed them the Southern hospitality. And when the program came out, they were incensed, not just the people in the Fyffe, but the people of the whole area were very, very angry at what Inside Edition did. It was ridiculous. When Inside Edition came in to do their piece, everybody was welcome. We tried to make them feel at home and be a part of the community. But after the Inside Edition piece ran on TV, the outlook toward the media was completely different. It wasn't hostile, it's just that they didn't get any help. Help was slow in coming. You had to show good faith that what you were doing wasn't going to be like what Inside Edition did. People are still seeing things up here. They're not as frequent as they were during that time, but there are reports of seeing things in the sky almost constantly. I don't mean every day, but I mean hardly a week goes by when we don't get some reports of something in the air.
Well, man cavers, that's the video I wanted to show you. I think it's an excellent piece, definitely a credible sighting. Hopefully they can work out the jokes that were made about them. I would have been incensed as well. So I want to thank Eyes on Cinema again for the video. Head over there and subscribe, like his videos. You won't be sorry. Until next time, we'll see you later.